I'm Melinda Layton, Spiff Practice Lead at GoCarya. Since this is my first walkthrough video, we are going to start with a blank plan today and build from scratch to show you how easy it is to build a simple plan in Spiff. One of the simplest plans to start with is a lead-based payout. These types of plans are typically used for roles like sales development reps, SDRs, business development reps, BDRs, or similar roles that work to qualify inbound and outbound leads and generate appointments for the top of the sales funnel. Here we've created one called BDR, SDR, lead-based payouts. We can see we've assigned 3 representatives, but no rules and no custom fields. And if we go to our commissions, we can see we have 3 rep statements, but no total commissions. Now let's go to Designer. And it's a little empty here. We see our plan assignments, no payout rules. So let's go ahead. I always like to start with our data. We open up our opportunities. We're going to see that we have 2 key fields that we've defined in Salesforce, our BDR ID and our qualification date. Now, our BDR ID, if we look at it, it is a typical Salesforce user ID that begins with 005. And our qualification date is just a normal date. Now, one of the mistakes that we often see when doing a commission is that people try to commission on a checkbox or a stage gate field that does not have a date and a person attached. Because a commission is something that requires a date and a person to be trackable, we always want to make sure that we're capturing both that date and the person event. Now, I don't know about you, I do not have my reps memorized as an ID. So the first thing I want to do is convert this ID into a name. And in Spiff, they make this really easy. I'm going to go down to Data Relationships. And create a relationship. I like to start with the object I'm coming from and the type of relationship it is. Now, opportunities, my user objects often have many relationships going to them because you can have a relationship for every field that creates one. So you may have the opportunity owner, in this case, a BDR, sometimes an account manager, sometimes you'll have a referrer. So it's the type of field that's creating the relationship, not just the fact that it's a relationship between the object. So this is our Salesforce opportunity, and this is the BDR -C. -C is any of your custom data fields in Salesforce. Has many would be any relationship that can be more than one. In this case, this is just a one-to-one relationship. And we are going to make this to our user object and just to the ID field. It's going to give us a quick summary of what that relationship is. Always remember to hit your blue save buttons. I cannot tell you the number of times I omit this step and then wonder why my relationships don't work. Now, whenever you define a relationship, the very next thing I like to do is refresh. Gives it an opportunity to make sure that relationship is defined before you go back to your data and try to use it. So I'm going to insert a column to the right here, and I'm going to name this BDR name. Now I'm going to scroll down to where I have some data so I can see this in real time. And I'm going to call this the name of my relationship, and you can see it's already coming up there. So I can tab and it'll give me some suggestions. And I want to use the connector field here, the .name. And I can go ahead and hit the checkbox, and I can see my names come up. Now, as soon as you do that, you can actually go ahead and hide the column if you would like. Just makes it a little bit neater. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and create our filters. So the first filter I want to create is going to be like our by rep filter, but this is going to be by BDR. So this is going to allow us to filter each of our BDRs so we can see which BDR is getting paid. And so we're going to go to Opportunity, and we're going to go to our BDR name field is equal to, and we're going to do our rep.name. Now, both of these actually would work. I just like to use the connector field version. The .name lowercase is just what we call a normalized field, but it is actually the same thing. And in this case, that is all this filter is, because there's no secondary field that we need to map as well. We don't have any splits on the BDR. So, and you can see I currently have my context. That's what's here at the top as Sheldon Trundle, and I'm seeing just the BDRs that are Sheldon Trundle. If I switch to Odessa, I can see Odessa Tinewells. And if I switch to Chris, you'll notice that the qualification dates are so all over the place because this is just a filter on BDR name. So now let's go ahead and create a filter on qualification dates. Now, I always create basic filters by themselves. And I actually want to rename this as by qualification date in period, because we may eventually want to have by qualification date in year or in quarter. In this case, we're just going to do it in period. So qualification date is within. That's a nice little cheat that Spiff gives us. And you can see there's already a bunch of predefined periods. In this case, we just want current periods, but you can also do calendar periods or fiscal periods. So again, it's just some really nice predefined things here. And so we're going to do qualification date in period. We now have just qualification dates in May. But again, we now don't have that BDR filter on, so we're seeing different BDRs and even some blank BDRs. But we can test this. We can switch this to April, and we'll see April's. Do remember to hit that blue checkbox to save. Again, there's more times than I can count where I've switched out of that without saving and then wondered why my filters don't work. So the next thing we're going to do is create a combination filter of those two. And we need to do this for accumulation filters, but I always find that this is a best practice to put the filters together. It just makes it easier to double check that we're using the right things. And it just keeps it really clean as we're building. And you want to make sure that you're using your two individual filters here. Don't create a circular loop. Those will not work. And don't use your individual fields here. You want to use your the filters that you just created in the last step. Again, check your blue boxes. And now we see just Chris in April. If we switch to Odessa, we are seeing Odessa in April. And if we switch to May, we are now seeing Odessa in May. So we have built our filters. So now let's go to plans and use our brand new filters. So now we're going to create a new data sheet. I do have two opportunities because we have a data import as well. This is our Salesforce opportunities. Okay, so now that we have our new data sheet, the first thing we want to do is rename our data sheet. We're going to call this lead-based worksheet. The next thing we want to do is use our filter that we just created by BDR qual and period. Then we want to use our BDR name. And our qualification date. And we can already see that this is now working. And we can now either bring in the extra fields that help us to define it, but I'm going to go ahead and build the lead logic first. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is create a lead count. So we're going to want to create a leads to date. Each lead is going to count as one. And we're going to go here and we are going to go to what's called an accumulation. Make this accumulated. And we are going to choose our exact same filter by BDR qualifying period. We are going to sort this on qualification date. So the exact same date we are using here. And I'm going to put this in order of sort ascending. And you will see this is now counting up our leads in period. Okay, so now I am going to show you how we are going to calculate our tiers. So before I do that, we have created a lead tiers table. So for the first 10 tiers, we're going to pay $10 a tier. For the next 10, we are going to pay $100. For the next 10, we're going to pay $200, then $300, then $400. So we can create our lead payout table. And the formula for this is going to use a special function called amount. And this is a great Spiff function that calculates a marginal commission rate. So usually we are going to need to worry about allocations because all of our amounts are one. That is actually going to cancel out here. So this is the simplest version of amount. So that is something we will talk about in a later video. So our input value is actually 1 here because each lead counts as 1. Our range table is our lead tiers. Our initial value is going to be the LTD in period -1 because we don't want to count this deal. This is our prior value. And we don't even need the return column because there is only the one return column. So again, if we sort our qualification dates ascending, we can see that our first 10 are paying $10, our next 10 are paying $100, and our next 10 are paying $200, etc. So this is giving us that marginal commission payout without any additional work. So great, easy thing to do in Spiff. And this can be really complicated and hard to do in Excel. So this is one of my favorite Spiff party tricks. So now we can create a payout rule. Let's set this as a currency. Create payout rule. Lead payout. That sounds great. We can calculate our statements. Okay. These are now calculated. So let's go ahead and exit Designer. And we can see we now have commission statements. So let's go take a look at Odessa. She has had a little bit of a slow start, but we can see she has some basic information here. Now, maybe not everything that we want to see, like account external IDs, maybe not the best information. Now, we did not add in some of our fields to our table yet, but let's go ahead and do some editing, and we may have to go back to Designer because, like I said, we just focused on what we needed for calculating the commission as the first thing. Okay, so we don't want to see external ID. And I do not like to use the built-in, just the deal booking dates and the built-in normalized fields, because in this case, we're not worried about the booking date as much. We're worried about the qualification date. We're going to use the name. We already have that amount. We don't want to use the BDR field. We want to use that because remember that BDR field has the ID. We want to use the BDR name field. We want to do the LTDs in period. So I'm putting the information they care most about in the front, but they can scroll over and see some additional information. But then the very end of it, they can again see the deal name and commission when they scroll to the end. Now, again, this does not look full. You can do a quick recalculation here, but it's not going to fill in a whole lot because we need to add some of these pieces of information. So let's go back to Designer. And go back to our worksheet. Okay, so let us go ahead and add the name. Okay, so now I'm going to recalculate. And sometimes you will have to go back and forth a couple of times for all of the fields to appear. Okay, so let's go ahead and take another look at Chris's. Now we can see that a lot more of those fields have appeared in our recalculation. And we can see that we have earned a nice healthy commission here. Okay, now we're going to create a second rule. Sometimes these built-in filters in period are not quite what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and delete the original rule and we're going to do our own. So we're going to do close date is within our current period and stage name is equal to okay, so let's start with that. We're going to do close date is within current period, and I'm going to look at the stage name here, and I want closed one. So I'm just going to copy that. So then I'm going to do new condition, stage name is equal to closed one. Okay. And don't worry that you will often see the lead payouts showing errors when you're doing other filters. This is because it's using an accumulation. And when you're in other filters, you're often not going to be in that accumulated payout set. So that error completely does not matter because you're not in the right context. So do not worry about that if you're not in the context of the plan. Totally do not freak out. It only matters if you are in the right context. But again, make sure you do hit save. So that is our in period filter. We'll be able to use that in other places. But in our case, we now want to create a by BDR closed in period filter. So again, a new filter, but we can reuse our same by BDR. Again, this is one of the reasons I like to do a nice, simple component, because we'll be able to use that closed in period filter again and our by BDR again. Okay, so this particular closed one is by Odessa, and that's the only closed one in May. So that's why we didn't see any in Sheldon's. because we don't expect any. And we do see the one in Odessa's. Odessa also has a closed one in April. That's one of the other tricks when you're building is you'll need to know your data. Often not everybody will have every rule every month. And in this case, the rule is going to be that they're going to get a 1% commission payout on any closed deals where they were the original BDR. Now, in this case, I'm just hard coding it. If that amount could change, if that amount is based on seniority, you can, of course, put in a field here and define it. For simplicity, we're just going ahead and hard coding it, but that can always be a lookup table. That can be a variable. And again, that's just the flexibility of Spiff, and that makes it very simple. We can create a payout rule. Now you will notice in May, we actually had bad data here, and I did that on purpose in my data set. So when we have that, we just want to create a default value there so we don't get an error. And we're going to create a default value of a number and give that a 0, because if somebody does not put an amount for their deal, which would be a very bad error to have in a closed one deal, obviously nobody would be getting a payout there. So let's go ahead and recalculate our data. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and go in, and first I'm going to look at one of the people that do not have a payout rule. And what you'll see is that if they did not earn anything in that payout rule, it does not show on their statements. Now, if we go to Odessa's, we do see that she now has that BDR closed payout rule. And we can see this is the one where there was no commission because there was no deal amount. But if we go to the previous month where there is a deal amount, we do have the commission. And again, we can go through now the same steps of updating and editing the field just like we did before. But I think you see the point that Spiff is a really easy tool to create basic commissions. It's also a great tool to create complex commissions, but we will save that for another week. And congratulations for making it through my first video with me. And if you liked it, please like and subscribe and do all the YouTube things. My LinkedIn profile is M. Layton. You can drop us a line at hello@gocario.com and explore more at gocario.com/Spiff. And look forward to seeing you in future videos. Thank you so much for joining us.